regular council meeting of the Village of Brahmanan to order 7:30 p.m. on June the 4th, 2018 at the Brahmanan Community Center. And for prayer we have Pastor David Phillips from the North Head Baptist Church.
Thanks again for the opportunity to be here. And, let's just begin with a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for your hand upon our lives and the opportunity to live here on this beautiful island. I'll take a moment here as this meeting begins to just continue to seek your hand in all matters of life here, and just pray for the mayor and council and all the staff and people involved in running this island and keeping it shipshape, and helping us as citizens here to just do what we can to make this a better place to live day by day. So thank you for all the provisions of safety and hospital and different things going on a regular basis. We just continue to lift up our youth on the island and pray that you will just guide and keep us mindful of your hand in our lives, Lord. So just continue to bless this island, bless this council, and this meeting tonight. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Phillips. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Many people were waiting for spring to arrive. This morning, frost on the windshield, plus 1 degree Celsius, and ice pellets this afternoon, temperature +7. There has to be better weather in the near future, and I did look on the weather, and next week the temperature is supposed to be up to be half decent. Last month I talked about littering. It didn't seem to make much difference in what is happening. We just like to try to encourage the irresponsible actions of people with their coffee cups, pop cans, bottles, cigarette packages, and food containers. The tourist season is about to begin. Let's be proud of our beautiful island and keep it litter-free. All year, people may not realize it, but the time for littering, the fine could be littering could be $1,000. Let's put a better effort forward. The council would like to thank staff and Councillor Fitzsimmons, and I think our rec director was probably involved in this, for the planning of our Canada Day activities, which will be celebrated on June the 30th at Seal Cove. There is a lot of time and effort that these people put into the planning and organizing these events. There seems to be some people around who like to complain about something, so they complained about the day and other trivial reasons. Our suggestion to them would be to offer to volunteer next year, and probably we could get it done right. Thank you. Next is a disclosure of, I will say one other thing. When councillors are speaking, would you raise your voice, and please don't lean back in your chair. It seems to be when people get comfortable, they get back in their chair and they get away from the microphone. So
sometimes that's strategic.
Well, disclosure of conflict of interest.
I'd be in the conflict of 9.2, right, Mr. Mayor.
Any other conflicts? Next order is the adoption of the minutes of May the 7th, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move we adopt minutes on May 7, 2018 as distributed.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Additions to the agenda. I talked about one thing, and I was just thinking, hey, and I usually find fault with additions, but we had the Charlotte County Ground Search and Rescue in to help with the search, and it's very expensive for those people to come in, and it doesn't have to happen tonight, but I just like to mention to council that probably we should try to look at giving them a donation of some kind. It doesn't, as I say, it doesn't have to be tonight. Think about it, and probably we could do it at the next meeting if it's the wish of council. So number 7 is the RCMP report, and we have Corporal Terry Pomeroy here.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, general public. Corporal Terry Pomeroy is my name. It's my second meeting in a row. For those who don't know, I'm here for the summer until August 31st officially. As of now, possibly maybe a month or two after that. So I'm the supervisor in charge of the Graham detachment, and we come every week to present our stats every month to present our stats for the month. I reviewed the stats today. I don't see anything that's outstanding. Unless Mayor Council has any questions about those.
If you could, Corporal Pomeroy, the people that's here don't know what we're talking about, I don't think. If you could just go over.
Oh, sure, I can.
the stats, please.
I don't know. I didn't know if that was the standard in the past to go over those, but I certainly can and will moving forward. So for the month of May, we have report of 4 assaults in Grand Manan and all the communities within Grand Manan. That's complaints of assaults. Each one of those are investigated by the RCMP. They may be all unfounded, meaning an assault didn't actually happen, or charges may or may not have been laid in some of those instances. If there's direct questions about those, we can answer them. I do have all the stats specific to where charges were laid and where things were unfounded. 1 report of a sexual assault, 1 report of criminal harassment, 1 report each of the following: possession of property obtained by crime, fraud through the mail, 1 report of impaired driving, 1 of theft over $5,000, and 2 under $5,000. We have 1 report of mischief, which is obstruction of enjoyment of property or damage to property. 1 false alarm, which is very good. 2 assist general public, and that could be anything that isn't criminal in nature that we, as the police, attend to the community for, whatever that may be. 1 assist other department agency, whether we helped out with the fire department or fisheries do something. 2 crime preventions. 2 offender managements. Offender management is when somebody is in the community, has gotten in trouble, gone to court, and then now are on conditions. We manage those conditions, make sure that the person's, whether it be not drinking or that person's in their curfew, be it they have to be home at 10 o'clock every night. So there's 1 person in the community that's on offender management that we check on a regular basis. 2 animal dog calls, 1 lost and found item, 1 family assistance, child welfare. We have, I guess, a couple of, 1 in particular that seems a little high is 4 Mental Health Act. That is when we are called to anybody who is suffering from any mental health issue, be it whatever, be it acute or chronic. Maybe they suffer long-term mental health and they're having problems. Typically it's bring them to the hospital and let the hospital be with them. But there was 4 of those this month. 4 suspicious vehicles or persons. 1 Coroner's Act, meaning somebody in the community has passed away and we were called to that. 1 police certificate, or 12 police certificates, people coming into the office looking for background checks for jobs or whatever the case may be. And then a number of traffic things, 29 tickets or warnings given out to drivers in the community in Grand Manan, and a few accidents here or there, mostly minor in nature, actually all minor in nature. I did review those. Any questions about those?
I have one.
Sure.
The fraud through the mail.
Yes.
Just curious what that might have been.
Honestly, I think that could be a fraud through email.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can check quickly for you. Give me 1 second to see if I can find it very quickly. I think sometimes those are scored incorrectly, and it's usually somebody getting defrauded through the internet. And I would guess, just because we don't have that much mail transaction anymore, Yes, that was a situation where somebody had sold something on a website similar to eBay or Kijiji and were defrauded.
Right.
So, thanks for picking up that error.
Right.
But it should be scored differently. I do have a few other items, if there's no other questions there. We had our Police Week barbecue, or in this case was the pizza party in mid-May at the Grand Marais Community School, and I want to thank Ahmet and the Independent Store for assisting us with that. They were a great help in making sure that all the kids in the school were fed, and in this case the teachers as well, maybe a couple of officers. It was, I thought it was successful. Lots of kids had fun. The little ones enjoyed the lights and sirens, and I might have handed out a set of handcuffs to a couple of the older ones, and they played with those, and that was fun. So fisheries, ambulance, fire department, thank you all for making sure that happened. It went over very well. I thought it was great, and I got some good feedback from the community. The mayor had mentioned the ground search and rescue. I thought that was a great gesture. That it did cost a lot of money. I was privy to what it cost, as I'm sure you are, and it is very, very expensive for these people to come over here for the day, or in some cases more than that. Which brings me to a point that the mayor and I discussed earlier, and I've discussed with the members of the office. I think we will attempt to either begin our own ground search and rescue team in Grand Manan, and or at least have some sort of protocols in place where we have a good start on our ground search prior to an established team arriving on the island. And I think the biggest and easiest way, and it would take the assistance of somebody in the community who's very well, who knows the community in the backwoods very well, is to come up with a grid system for the island. And that's as simple as a map of the island and grid it out, and this is area A1, A2, and so we can tell ground search and rescue when they arrive. We as the community, because like I said to the mayor, the community of Grand Manan, in all situations, as soon as something bad happens, everybody's out the door helping. And we could have a lot done prior to ground search and rescue actually arriving, provided we do it in an organized fashion. So I'm going to speak more to the mayor about that, and hopefully we can get the ball rolling this summer on having something that can be a living being for the future in our assistance there. Because, and we can make the argument that Grand Manan members, or anybody in Grand Manan who's in the woods, will eventually find their way to a road or the water, and we'll find about a 12-year-old, 8-year-old child that's out there in sub-zero weather. They may not, and so I think that we should do our due diligence in making sure that happens, and the police are willing to take that on. Lastly, cell phone usage while driving. I stopped a few people in the last little while who have been doing that, and there's some misconception on using your phone when you drive, that you can hold it up and talk as long as it's not at your ear or something like this. And I know a lot of businessmen and women in the community are very busy and need to be using their phone frequently, but it's not the place to do it. It's when you're driving a vehicle, and certainly not in the school zone, where that's what I've viewed a few people. So I want to get it out there that the RCMP are going to be enforcing that very strongly in the future, certainly in the near future, so don't be surprised if our stats next month in the area of cell phone usage while driving or distracted driving are increased. And that's a forewarning, I guess. I think it's a fair one.
Bluetooth phones in your car, is that included in your distracted driving, or are they permitted?
Permitted, yeah. So the law states essentially that your cell phone screen will not be visible to you while you're driving. That's one of the aspects of it. So it's supposed to not even be able to sit on some sort of holder, which I think is unfair, but it is the rule, and I wouldn't enforce, provided both hands are on the wheel and you're watching where you're going. But the texting, the even dialing while you're driving, and people think, okay, well, I dialed when I stopped, now I can drive with one hand, I can drink coffee and drive, so why can't I do this? Unfortunately, it's against the law, and we believe that prior to you holding here, you're probably dialing a number, so we'll enforce it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Corporal.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for the warning.
Now we have no excuse.
Number 8 is the 10-minute open session. Okay, number 9, new business. 9-1 is the Shorecrest Lodge property. Deputy Mayor Moses.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After our last couple of meetings, our regular meeting and the information session, I've become quite frustrated at what we can and cannot do at the abandoned property in North Head. So I took it upon myself to research the Expropriation Act and the property through the provincial mapping system. The properties that you see from the road is only about a third of the size of the whole property. It goes back quite a ways. I come in prepared to, and I still am, to suggest that council proceed with expropriation of this property. If we do expropriate it and we are successful with that, we then own the property and we have control over it. We can see who uses it, who buys it, where it goes from there. There are other options out there. Some of us are agreeable to those and some not, apparently. So, having said that, I'm going to make a motion that council direct staff to proceed with an application for expropriation to the expropriation officer of the province. Find out through legal counsel what we need to do exactly and what we can expect from it, from the procedure.
Here's the motion. Do we have a seconder?
I'd second it to see, because I'm curious to see what can
Question?
actually be done.
Question, because I've never considered the Expropriation Act for the Shorecrest. Do we need to have a reason to expropriate, or is there like a rationale that is required, or how does that?
Yes, we need a reason. Under notice of intent, the expropriating authority files a description of the land, general description of the state of the land, the nature of interest to be expropriated, an intended statement of purpose which expropriation is required, and the land to be expropriated, etc. The land borders a long border on North Head Cemetery. North Head Cemetery is becoming not completely full, but there is a finite item there. The land also borders on the other side on a public highway, which could be used for village development. Both are valid reasons. And we can use cleaning up, under the Act, we can use the cleanup of a hazardous property.
Don't you think it would be a good idea? There's two people sitting here that knows about the expropriate, you and I. Don't you think it would be a good idea to table this so other councillors could read what is involved in the Expropriation Act? If you get into court cases, it could cost $100,000. And I just think the council should be prepared before you go ahead and make a motion to go into something that you don't know what it is. You can go on the internet and bring it up. And that's what I've done for the last 2 days.
How, so you're thinking, Mr. Mayor, that the motion would handcuff us in some way? That put us in a corner, which we don't...
Council is making a motion that they no background on it.
Well, that's why I thought that we would
Yeah.
get these fellows to look into it, to see just what it was exactly.
This was file the papers for expropriation. So you don't know what it is.
Well, then that's how
The
special meeting
Act
expropriation.
also allows for withdrawal of expropriation at any time if we find that it's not suitable for us, and we have filed. That we've got it.
I just think it would be a good idea if somebody went on the internet and read what's involved in the Expropriation Act.
I presume you have to expropriate an entire property too, like you can't do partial.
You
That's what makes me.
You can do a partial
You can?
expropriation.
Okay, I didn't know how that worked.
Well, Mr. Mayor, maybe we need to take it like you say, but have a session on council. It's a big file, it's a big issue, it's a big concern. And maybe we should have a primer on that and get up to speed on all the aspects.
Well, I'm just suggesting that would be a good idea if you're gonna go do it. Know what you're doing, or know some in the background.
I think it's a great idea if this will move this file forward.
Hmm.
That's what I'm thinking, Councilor Ingersoll is thinking as well.
Well,
Because we're spinning our wheels for 2 years.
Yeah.
there is
Exactly.
another thing on the agenda, that if council decided that they want to follow that route, that you can bring in an unsightly premises bylaw, which can be done in a very short time, and Southwest will enforce the bylaw.
That's true.
Yeah, but there is this timeline, I mean, there'd be a timeline on the Expropriation Act as well. I think it's worthwhile learning more about it, for sure. I guess my question, Deputy Mayor Moses, because I can't remember your wording at the very beginning, was your intent to proceed immediately with filing the application for the Expropriation Act, or was it to investigate
The
further?
motion read to file, for staff to file file for an expropriation and investigate through legal counsel how we should go about this. So if council would like, I'll just ask staff to investigate through legal counsel until next month's meeting, and at that time, if we proceed, we can file at that time. We've been 2 years into this now. That property's been revalued immediately after the fire 2 years ago, which would lead myself to believe that we have no more use for this, so let's devalue it and the best we know how.
But you have to pay for the property.
You know, we have to buy the property at $25,000.
How much?
25.5 is the assessment.
It's great cemetery land.
It's not, I mean,
But there's a lot of people that's interested in buying that property. They've approached me and they've approached our CAO. They'd like to buy it, and they would buy it right the way it is.
I guess that's one of my questions. To buy it right now is challenge, which is a challenge we run into because it's a question of the ownership. But if we expropriate it, do we have the option of reselling a portion of it down the road, or are we?
the Expropriation Act requires us to identify the owner to the best of our ability. If we cannot identify the owner, then the file is publicized. If nothing else, this will bring the owner forward, so then we know who we're dealing with and we can do something with this.
But if we go through the process and we're successful, are we then required to hold on to the property for 5 years, or can we turn around and resell it if someone is interested? Keep a portion for the cemetery, maybe we want to keep it all. I'm wondering if we're going to be acquiring, but at 25.5, it's not a huge property to be carrying anyway. I'm curious, I guess. Which I guess is why I want to go and read the act some.
That was not described in the act as I read it.
Mr. Mayor, maybe by our going through this exercise, will even assist, if there were other people interested in the property, maybe we could get this thing cleaned quicker than an individual in the public. So it's not altogether a bad idea.
I'd be more comfortable with the investigation level at this point, just because we do have the point where this might be handled, you know, under the guys that came to see us there, you know, providing those services and all that, in which case we wouldn't be out 25,000 plus. We have no idea what kind of legal fees we would get into or how long that could last.
For the cleanup.
So I would be, yeah, and the cleanup. I mean, this could be pretty costly. I'm not against it, but I think because it's the first I've even heard of this option, I can't quite go with the filing of it, but I'd certainly be interested in investigating it further.
Deputy Moses, did you mention, or did I get the indication that you were going to amend your motion, soften it somewhat?
I will amend the motion if my seconder agrees.
Yeah, I agree.
So what are we amending it to?
The staff investigate the possibility of expropriation and the possible cost.
Councillor Ingersoll? You're,
Yeah, I agree.
and one other thing, this will give councillors time to look at it and see what's there. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Line 2. An application for donation from student council. So, it's an application and they're requesting $500 and the total funds required is $15,000. Funds raised to date, $3,500. Description of the project purpose which the funds are requested: to send 7 student council members and 1 advisor to Edmonton, Alberta for a Canadian Student Leadership Conference. We have sold tickets. Measures taken, we have sold tickets on a $1,000 Costco gift card and have made grant applications. We plan to bag groceries at the Save Easy and have a car wash. Cohen Fitzsimmons, student council member. Comments?
Can we do 500?
No, really,
No,
no.
I didn't think, sorry.
That's a high budget item for, to be required by June 22nd. And we're 3,500 now, but maybe they're on it.
I would move that we contribute $200 to the Student Council Leadership Conference.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morris. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Wellness Center discussion, CAO road person. Mr. McPherson.
Thank you very much. We got within the last week, we got confirmation that we cannot use our gas tax fund to finance our cost of the wellness center. We have application in for small communities project for any communities under $5,000 or
Population.
5,000 population. The feds will come up with 60%, and the province would come in for 33%. We have no confirmation on each one of these applications as yet. up until this time, the 7% that we have to look after, it was the gas tax. Now we know we can't do that. We have a Rotary commitment for the project for at least $100,000. Our 7% is 500,000, so that brings it down to 400. We could suggest that we could put that over, borrow the money and pay it back over a period of years. But to make sure that council's on the same wavelength, and I just want to be assured that we want to go forward with the application. So,
What Rotary has said is the minute that we make up our mind, it says in here in 2 years, they will supply $100,000 the minute that we say it's a go. And it's my understanding is if we needed a further donation, they would look at that.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we started off at March 6th in 2017. At that point, we thought our 1/3 of the 7.1 million was going to be 2.37 million, and we'd be a third. And I think on our March 5th meeting, we found that we were going to possibly go 50% or 60% from the federal government. So if that happens and comes to fruition, that's going to leave. That's going to be 4,260,000, which leaves 2,840,000, and the province puts in 33%. And we're still only looking at 7% or $500,000. So we're still in a good position. So I see no reason why we wouldn't go forward and try to pressure to get the 60% from the federal and the 33% from the provincial. We're not to that point where they said no. Correct?
No, I don't know how far our application are. The applications are in there.
Great. So at this point, there's no reason to withdraw it.
No.
Would you say?
No.
I don't know what the
I
other
think
councilors
what-
think,
I
but
think
for
what-
$500,000,
What I think the CAO was saying, if it comes, the feds come in with that amount and the province comes in with that amount, and we're in for 500, and then the Rotary's gonna put 100 in, we're down to 400.
we're
You
still,
can look at financing over 15 years if you wanted to.
it's a no-brainer, in my estimation. Unless I'm missing something, really.
Other comments?
So this isn't a yes or no thing, this is just we're just confirming that.
well, the idea
We're
is,
still moving
up
ahead.
until this time, we were using the gas tax.
Right,
So that's off the table.
Okay. So are we still in?
The council is, have to look for that 7% otherwise, and that's from the taxpayers, local taxpayers. And if you're content with that, then let the file go forward.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that pending the 60,000 from the feds are approved and the 33,000 from the province is approved, that the village move forward with this, inform the Rotary Club of our intention. Also, I would include in that the village canvass local businesses to sponsor the project, whatever they seem fit.
Well, one thing that you have to look at, and I don't know whether there's anybody available or not, but in St. Stephen with the Garcelon Center, the name Garcelon was a major contribution. The Quartermain room was a contribution. Probably we could follow along on that line.
That was my intent.
And with other people, there is some companies that we've hit up before and they've come in. Whether, it's proper to go back at them or not, I don't know, but I think that that's a good idea to have a fundraising, to see what we can come up with the idea that everything that we can come up with lowers our cost.
No harm in having a discussion of it.
Perhaps at this point, though, just because we don't know if the funding is coming in, and it can be complicated if we've received money and then the project doesn't go forward, maybe it could be like a letter of financial commitment or something versus a check in hand. I'm just thinking it might be a bit easier to cash manage if it doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
How we manage the campaign or donations, we can work that out. Just the fact that we're going to be looking for that at some point in time. I've heard there's a large public a number of the public in favor of this project. And I think that it would be doing the village a service to go forward with it.
So back to the motion.
I'll second it.
What are we seconding?
His motion.
That pending
Oh.
the confirmation of the federal 60% and the provincial 33%, the village go ahead with raising the remainder of the funds through Rotary and, if possible, any other donations that we can find.
So we would be committing to doing this.
We would be committed, pending the two large, we would be committed to doing it.
Do you know when we're gonna know for sure from the feds and the province?
Try it again, then?
When are we gonna know from the feds and the province? Do we have a timeline at all, or?
I can't say too much. We hadn't had great communications with the federal MP, and as I understand it now, Ottawa is going to say, okay, your project goes, and then the province follows behind that. It's in with, as far as I understand, is with Infrastructure Canada on somebody's desk, and I can't get through that red tape so far, and then have anybody to help us out with it.
Go Councilor Brown.
The short answer is there's no timeline that I'm aware of.
I think Councilor Anderson could help us out with finding some information.
All right.
Well, doesn't hurt.
That's why I think if we go to the feds and the province with a commitment on our part to go ahead with this. Until now, it's been maybe we will, maybe we won't. If we can, we can, we can't.
Well, I think that with the filing of the application, they know what our intent is. So, okay, back to the motion. Councilor Persimmons, you're seconding it.
Yes.
Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 9-4 is pickleball, CAO McPherson, Oakside Court.
As everybody should know, or should not, that pickleball is a very strong commitment on Grand Manan. It now has people of all ages, 35 to under 80. And at this time, up until this time, I'm told them that we've been looking on our gas tax fund for the wellness center. That is off the table. Under the new gas tax agreement, we could get financial from $1 to the end for this. The court would have, I think, 4 pickleball courts, basketball and tennis. Can't do them all at the same time, but you can regulate that. And there has been very substantial commitments financially from local businesses to make this come to fruition outside. I talked to Gloria last week. She's the brains behind the pickleball, and she was going to talk to Councillor Turner, but that didn't happen. So I don't know all the people that come, but Grand Bananas now are known for their pickleball prowess from Bangor to Bathurst. So, and I dare say they're up in Fredericton now. There's a championship going on up there. So, but I would like to get a commitment, or that we, if council wish, that we put in an application to the gas tax fund to finance this. I talked to Dave Stevens this afternoon. He could do the preliminary for around $3,000. At the first, the gas tax fund will not pay for the preliminaries, but once the project's agreed to, it becomes an expense that we can get it back. So the idea would be with this, I think Chris has done some preliminaries, and it's a little bit, to get all this would be a little bit over $100,000. In our gas tax account, by the end of this fiscal year, we'll have pretty near $250,000. So, and it's very, yeah, there's some there now. So it's there, and it's things like this that we could use it at this time.
With the condition of all the tennis courts on the island too, I hear, now that people want to be out there doing stuff, you hear a lot more about that, and none of them are fit to play on. I mean, some of them are horrendous to look at, but all it takes is a warp like that and the balls, you know, it's really frustrating. So I think anything that encourages people to be outside and active for that price, and it covers like not just the pickleballers, and there are a lot of them, me being one of them, but you know, all the tennis players, the kids playing basketball, I think it's a great project.
I've been talking to some of the young people about the basketball. And the courts up North Head where one's smaller than the other, and they lose some balls every now and then out on the road and all that sort of stuff. But I'm sure there's been talk about even if we could get a half court, they'd be happy. But if they could get a full court, share it with pickleball people, they'd be pretty pleased, I would think.
What are you thinking for location? Here?
Location.
Location? Sorry, I was leaning forward that time too.
Isn't it where you
No, I was doing
He's doing what I asked him not to do before the meeting.
I turned my hearing aids down. That would be over in, right over in here, yeah.
So that doesn't come in conflict with the wellness center?
No.
No, that's
No,
just...
well, when I talked to Dave, if the wellness center be in the parking lot, and then thought, well, maybe we could put the car or the court on the geothermal. And he said, no, it has to be open, but it has to be wet going down. That's where they get the geothermal come from. So, but it would be over here.
I think it's great that the pickleball people are bringing this forward. Isn't pickleball, isn't it more like a wiffle ball? So how are you gonna bat that around in Grand Manan southwest winds were just great, the best thing for turbines? Like, I just wonder the extent, I think the tennis guys and the basketball people are gonna love it, but,
I've heard, oh, go
I
ahead.
mean, I just think that they would probably, since they're Grand Mananers and pickleballers, you know, I can't imagine that they haven't thought about that.
No.
I just wanted to mention too that Gloria and Linda Kling won a bronze medal in Connecticut a couple of weeks ago against, you know, players from all over, so it really is going to be quite a big thing. I think they just want to get outside. You play pickleball in here, and it's a weight loss program. It is just brutal.
And I think they use a heavier ball
Yeah, I think.
too, that
And then they
helps with that a little bit.
yep,
There's a screen that goes inside the,
okay,
Yeah.
windscreen. Just, yeah. I was trying to get you.
If everything, and I don't think I'm letting anything that shouldn't be told, but the Rotary would like to do a pavilion here. So if everything goes, it will be quite an area.
I would like to make a motion that we do the application to use the gas tax fund for the outdoor courts.
I would second that.
You heard the motion by Councilor Turner, seconded by Councilor Cheney. Question? No question?
Would this replace some of the tennis courts here now, or is this just something totally separate, so nothing to do with the other?
Well, the Seal Cove tennis court's gone beyond repair. North End is a private one. So the only one we have to work with is the one here in Grand Harbor. And asphalt, freeze and thaw, it's cracked. He had the cracks filled at one time. So,
It behaves differently too once it's been filled. It doesn't act like it's not the same. It's not consistent anymore, so.
any other questions? I was all ready to say something. I see the lady down there raised her hand. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Recreation Director's report. Mr. Raymond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Short and sweet, pretty much. The Castelia Park is we finally got that opened up on Wednesday, but it's not finished. It's open but not finished. When I say open, it means that the kids can go in and play, but we're not finished because we had a bit of a change of plan with the protective surface. The original plan was we were going to put in 6 inches of rubber mulch, which is kind of the new thing that everyone's going with. Bill Stewart at the transfer station worked out a deal with a friend that owns a plant to supply this for us. When Bill went to get it, there was a bit of an issue with the plant, and the owner of the plant had a total loss of his house due to the flooding. So to leave him with the mess that he's left with, we moved ahead and brought in some pea gravel for the time being. For those of you that drive by, there's still a large pile of pea gravel sitting outside. We're not going to use any more because the more we put in, that means the more we have to take out when the rubber comes. We have proper coverage there now with 6 inches, so there's no need to put any more in. We're going to bring that down and start doing in Grand Harbor because one of the pieces in Grand Harbor was never finished. There's no pea gravel used, it was just stone. So once the rubber mulch comes, the plant was guessing it would be somewhere mid-summer. So once that comes, we will take the pea gravel out, all 43 ton of it, and relocate it down to Grand Harbor. Kind of getting back to the mayor's opening remarks with the garbage. On Wednesday at 12:30, we finally moved the last of the pea gravel around and opened the gate for people to use. We had a few things left to pick up there. We went back up at 1:30. Someone had been there and used the park and left a coffee cup and a soda can right in the middle of the park.
came off that truck.
And there literally was a garbage can, probably within, if you're any good at basketball, you probably could hit it. But anyway. Soccer registration, Kendra Wilson's offering the minor soccer again this year for the summer. She's holding registration on Thursday evening here at the community center in the arena at 6:30. I believe she covers everybody from 2 to 13. And she also said if there was enough interest from the 14 to 16-year-olds, she would probably offer an older program as well, which is good. So the rec department will help her out. Last year we bought the supplies she needed, the nets, the field markers, the balls, the training aids, some different things, as well as we maintain the field behind the school because the school staff is off for the summer. So we'll continue to do that for her again this year. Baseball started last week, which was good. Little League started first. They have they're using 2 nights a week in Grand Harbor with 3 teams. They've also added a night per week with an older team, which is made up of Pony League kids, which is 12 to 15, I believe. There's an under 13 age group that's also going to be traveling around the lower part of the province, playing teams looking to go to provincials. There's a co-ed softball starting up, supposed to start tomorrow. Right now they have 6 teams with over 100 people registered, which is fantastic. But with all this means Grand Harbor can't hold all of the usage. So we've kind of taken ourselves away from the pool up to North Head to try to bring that ball diamond back the best we can, to have some of the overflow move up there, which is good. But there's also talk of when school gets out, they're thinking about doing a T-ball for the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, as well as the Community Life Church would like to run co-ed softball 1 night a week as well. So I think we're going to be a little ambitious and say once we get the pool done and North Head done, we're going to go focus on trying to get Castalia as well. So hopefully when we're all through, we'll have 3 decent working diamonds. I think it's pretty easy to justify with that many people using the diamonds this year to spend a little bit of extra money if we have to bring in some infield mix. The Castalia ball diamond, for those of you that drive by, it doesn't take much to look to see all the bowlers that always make their way up from somewhere every year. The pool, like I said, we've kind of been back and forth with the pool, the Castalia playground for a couple of weeks, then the North Head, but we're back at the pool now and everything's coming along slowly, but there's still lots left to do. As usual, we're hoping to have everything opened up and ready for June 30th in our Canada Day celebration. So, as the mayor said, Canada Day this year will be celebrated on June the 30th. There was a big discussion amongst all of our volunteers on what we should do. We also took in hand all of the positive comments on Island politics to help us make that decision. So it wasn't an easy decision, but it certainly helped make the decision. But in all seriousness, there were several key historical events that take place every Canada Day that was in jeopardy of not taking place where it was on Sunday. So, speaking with Councillor Sturgeon, who when he used to do Canada Day, back in 2012 was the last time it fell on a Sunday, they moved it to the Saturday before. So we felt, after speaking with him and speaking to the individuals that weren't going to be able to offer their services on Sunday, that we would move it to Saturday. I don't think the kids will care one bit. It'll be a well-attended event. So, as someone said earlier, if you don't like it, volunteer next year. In closing, getting along back to the discussion with the Wellness Center, the FRPA committee that we belong to, which is a committee made up of all the rec directors in Southern New Brunswick, we've had 2 different presentations from a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ian Reed. He is an ex-UNB professor that specializes in naming rights and corporate sponsorships. He was offering his services to the different municipalities. And I think with your permission, I would like to get a hold of Dr. Reed to see what it would cost to get him down here to maybe talk to council on the best way moving forward. Because there's, from what we've learned through his conversations, that there's a lot more to it than just going to Councilor Cheney and saying, do you mind giving us some of all your money? There's a lot more to that. So I think it would be well worth the investment to bring him down to have a special meeting with council. Any questions?
I'm glad you referred to Councilor Cheney. He's the richest man on council.
That's why I looked directly at him.
My wife did it all. Hey, Mr. Mayor, I just had a question for Rec Director. You mentioned in your opening remarks that it's in Seal Cove this year, all the events, of course, the Greasy Pole would be, and the tide works, so maybe the tide works a little better for Saturday than Sunday. But, so we're going to concentrate with everything right there on the beach and all that, so you move back there.
Move back to a traditional Canada Day,
Yeah.
where it's beach activities, Greasy Pole, pancake breakfast, the flag at the cenotaph with the mayor.
Yep.
So
Last year was the 150th, so there was extra.
last year was a 150. We had, I think, 3 times the budget or more. So this year we're going back to more tradition, and
That works.
But we're going down to Anchorage in the evening.
it sounds like after our meeting today that there will be fireworks now
And the bonfire.
in the bonfire. Yes.
Going back to your suggestion about having doctor or somebody.
Ian Reed.
Thank you, come for a meeting, are you looking, do we need to have a motion to invite him to come?
It should be.
I would make that a motion.
So you heard the motion by Councilor Morris,
A second.
seconded by Councilor Fitzsimmons. Question?
We were going to look at the budget to bring Dr. Reed here?
There's a couple different places in the rec budget for travel and seminars.
Yes.
So I think we can fund it within that budget to break them down for a day trip.
Okay, so you've investigated that aspect of it.
Any other question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Approval to pay the following invoices from the general operating fund. Beers Neal, audited financial statement, $6,900. Source One Supplies, Jebex, $309.10. JIL Engineering Construction, playground installation, $10,439.51.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we pay the aforementioned invoices from the general operating fund.
Heard the motion by Councilor Cheney. Do we have a seconder?
A second.
Seconded by Councilor Fitzsimmons. Question?
Yes, on the JEVAX. $4,000 for the JEVAX.
That's for the pool.
Okay, not laundering money. Okay, good, that's, yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next thing is closed session, property request to acquire land, financial, South New Brunswick, Service Commission, Building Inspector Services.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
The motion by Councilor Morris to go into closed session. Do we have a second? Second. Councilor Anderson.
I didn't know if anyone else could hear.
Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do you want to go?
Motion carried.
I'll put it on there.
Call this meeting back to order after closed session, and we were in closed session for a property, a request to acquire land, and financial was the Southern New Brunswick Service Commission Building Inspector Services, and the first issue was the property request, and it was decided if we had a motion to table that until the July meeting.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
You heard the motion by Councilor Cheney. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Morris. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the next thing was Western Brunswick Service Commission. Building Inspector Services.
I'd like to make a motion that we use SNDSC to provide those services as discussed for the balance of 2018.
You heard the motion by Councillor Turner. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question?
Mr. Mayor, this contract involves a lot more than building inspector services. It involves the broad spectrum of the village's bylaws. I believe that the village council should be a lot more involved in writing their bylaws.
Well, I think my understanding is we approve them. So.
Did we get to help write them?
Yeah.
Yep, that's all in here somewhere.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Hands, please, for aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nays? Motion carried. The next regular council meeting is at Bramanan Community Center, Monday, July the 9th, 2018, 7:30 p.m.
Move to adjourn.
Councillor Morse moves that we adjourn. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Good night and thank you, girls. Jennifer, good to see you.